Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov chess channel and welcome back to the Speed Chess Championship in 2024 that you can follow now on chess.com. In the quarterfinal stage we had the American Derby between Wesley and Moke Niemann, and this match was actually really important because the winner of this match is actually meeting the winner of the match between Rxa8 Rxa8 and Magnus Carlsen. So if Hans wins his match against Wesley, he could face Magnus Carlsen for the first time after the drama that happened, of course, with this cheating allegations and similar stuff. And also now recently in the FIDE World Rapid and Blitz Team Chess Championship in 2024, Magnus Carlsen sort of dodged to play against Hans Moke Niemann because Hans played for his club on the first board and actually could have met Magnus Carlsen, but then Magnus refused to play and let Jan Nepomniachtchi play against Hans Moke Niemann. So still we are waiting for the epic match between Hans and Magnus Carlsen in any time format. Of course, we would love to see classical time game, rapid game, blitz, bullet game, whatever of course the world needs, but I would really love to see a match between Magnus Carlsen and Hans. I think it would be really epic. The world would be shaking for sure because they had so much drama, they had so many intense moments, so it will be one of the most epic events in chess history for sure. So I've sorted out now one game between Wesley against Hans Moke Niemann, and at the end of the video I'm going to reveal you, did Hans make it to the semifinals, where he's waiting of course the match between Rxa8 Rxa8 and Magnus Carlsen. So in one 3+1 game they played, Wesley opened with move e4, Hans responded with e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to b5. The Spanish game, the Rui Lopez, is on the board, and now here Hans played knight to f6, and this was actually a rare case that they played the Spanish opening. I think 19% of their games they played also with the white, also with the black pieces. They played the Italian opening, so they tested each other really most of the times in the Italian opening, the gioco piano, gioco pianissimo, classical stuff, and in many games we have seen great tactics. But now suddenly Berlin defense is on the board, in which here Wesley went into this really nice position line with the move d3. Usually they can of course take and then also mess up here black's pawn structure. We have now the move d3, bishop to c5, c3 now by Wesley, and Hans goes with kingside castling also by Wesley. You could maybe take here bishop to c6, but it gets very complicated. After knight to e5 you could maybe grab the pawn in the center, but then black will simply open the center. Then you play something like, I don't know, d4, black retreats, you're trying maybe to attack the bishop. Now we can pick up finally this one. Here we can of course attack the knight further, so the engine gives here equal chances for both sides. But here for castling, Wesley again kept it calm, played now also kingside castling, the rook to e8. Finally Hans is protecting now his pawn on e5, knight from b2 d2, and now finally a6 also by Hans. He doesn't want to tolerate anymore this aggressive bishop against the knight. We have bishop to a4. Wesley is not giving up the bishop here for knight, keeps now his bishop pair on the board, and now b5 here by Hans Moke Niemann, and we have now bishop to c2. Now actually becomes a similar position to the common Murphy defense of the Rui Lopez, with of course the sideline where you play bishop to c5 instead of bishop to e7. So again, a playable position for both sides, equalish stuff, nothing dramatic is going on, with really good chances for both sides. We have now d6, Hans fixes now the structure in the center. We have now the move b4, bishop to b6, which is again an equal position, and now a4. Wesley is trying of course to break somehow this spaces that that Hans built here on the queen side. We have bishop to g4, pinning so far the knight, and this move is actually very important for the outcome of this particular game. This move is very unpleasant to handle because you cannot move of course your knight on f3, and the knight on f3 is controlling the d4 square. So it becomes now suddenly really a nice battle for this one square in the center of the board, for the d4 square, in which we'll see really now beautiful tactical shots. First of all, h3 by Wesley. He doesn't want to tolerate now immediately this bishop on g4, and after bishop to h5 here, Wesley could have now maybe immediately played the move g4, which would be perfectly fine, and then after bishop to g6, I think this is a pretty solid position. But Wesley so far played rook to e1, again a calm move. Hans continues now with a good move, I would say, d5, opening up now the center, because although white's bishops are targeting maybe towards the king side, still they are kind of blocked out. This bishop is blocked out by this pawn, this bishop is blocked out by its own knight. So far not really an optimal activity of white's bishop pair. On the other hand, black's bishops are already very active, targeting f2, and also this unpleasant knight on h5 is of course targeting the knight on f3. We have bishop to b2. If you play here, for instance, knight to f1, which would be a common maneuver in the Ruy Lopez, actually, look at this. Hans is playing really interesting chess here. Knight to f1, for instance, in this position is not working because bishop to f3, really unpleasant. This bishop is on this diagonal. Then after queen to f3, we can even play d4. And this move would be actually a very nice positional idea because then the bishop is out of game. It's simply neutralized, paralyzed by its own pawn. So that's why bishop to b2 by Wesley, keeping his chances. We have now the move d4. Hans is again battling for this very important square on the board, and now Wesley plays maybe his first tiny little inaccuracy, queen to c1. Actually, it's very hard to see now what's the best idea here for white. Actually, here c takes d4. You have to play then again bishop to d4, bishop to d4, and then you play bishop to f3. After knight to f3, knight to d4. We have here a position where black's knight on d4, or maybe this knight on f6 is slightly better always than this bishop on c2, because as we mentioned before, it's always blocked out, it's always paralyzed by its own pawn structure. But again, the equal position, nothing dramatic I think is going on. Then maybe a takes b5, a takes b5, trading off, knight takes d4, and similar stuff can happen. So I think in top GM level, this should be a drawish position. But here after queen to c1 by Wesley, Hans continues now with d takes c3, bishop to c3, and now comes the actual problem in white position. White cannot really battle anymore for the d4 square. Hans has a great control, has of course this bishop that is attacking the knight, and has also nice grip with his bishop, with his knight, and also with his pawn here, also with the queen. He's controlling any further progress, and now white is left with the backward pawn on d3, which is of course a strategic disadvantage. We have now queen to d6. Finally, Hans connects now his rooks. A takes b, rook takes a8, and now rook takes a8, and now finally queen to b2 by Wesley, attacking now the pawn, but easy defendable with of course rook to e8. And here I would say black is slightly better, nothing dramatic again, but slightly better because of the control of the d4 square and because of this bad bishop by white on c2. And now Wesley, I think, here got a little bit frustrated because there's simply no good really plan here for white. Black is holding really in a good way this position, and Wesley rushed it with the move g4. In the earlier position, g4 would be perfectly fine, but now it's not working, and you can guess what Hans is doing. Hans playing now the beautiful bishop takes g4, sacrifices now the piece for 2 pawns, and is now including the queen into the game. The king is very endangered here, and again, I'm pointing out these bishops are too far away from the action. They cannot be included really into the game. We have now rook to e2. Wesley is trying to create some escape routes for the king, but now Hans plays the easy queen to g6, is of course threatening some nasty tactics on the g file. We have king to f1, Wesley is escaping, queen to h5, of course threatening also some dangerous checks again here. We have king to g2. Even if you play rook to e1 here, which is now maybe even the best suggested move by the top engines, then bishop to f2. I think we can agree, again, the position is collapsing here for white. So king to g2, Wesley is again going towards the king side with his king. Hans continues with rook to e6. Although there was a beautiful tactical shot for Hans with this idea, knight to h2, which would be maybe slightly better, and then picking up the rook. But okay, rook to e6 makes of course perfectly sense here because rook to g6 is then a huge threat. This position, I would dare to say, is completely busted here for white. In the game, queen to a2 by Wesley, trying to do some dangerous stuff here on the queen side, but now Hans has a calm h6, although actually king to f8 is even more interesting, is even more accurate, because even if you deliver a check, no good checks are possible, then the rook is coming, and I think white can resign after a couple more moves. But okay, h6, again a good move here by Hans, bishop to b3, and now finally rook to f6, protecting now the pawn, but also putting more pressure against this knight on f3. And now maybe the only way for Wesley to spice up the the game is maybe this move. Bishop to f7 leads into complications. Maybe you can play something like this, but still black is much better. I think we can agree. Again, there's simply too much pressure here. Rook to f6, rook to g6. Again, a quite messy position for Wesley for sure. So he played bishop to d5, which is now the more inaccurate approach, but now knight to e7. Finally, Hans is getting out of this attack because his knight was really loose a little bit here on this square. Knight to f1 here by Wesley. So, and now of course here Hans played now beautiful rook takes f3. Great tactic, which is not allowing actually here white to take. If you do that, then you're getting checkmated with this beautiful sequence, so it would be game over. Wesley saw that after rook to f3, knight to g3. Wesley played now rook takes g3 by Hans. We have f takes g3, and now here knight to e3. Good move again by Hans, although queen to h2, believe me or not, leads in now even into immediate checkmate sequence, because you play something like this, will deliver a check. You allow here even white to pick up now this knight, but now we play h5. You have to go here, you pick up this one, now you could go with your queen, and there's simply no good defense against queen to g4. Hans missed this tactic, but still I would say knight to e3, pretty solid continuation. Forces now rook takes e3, bishop to e3, and now after bishop to b3 here by Wesley. So another beautiful move here by Hans, knight to c6, including now the knight into the game, of course, trying of course to centralize it. We have queen to a8 to check, but now here after king to h7, this move knight to c6 was such a dirty trap by Hans. After queen takes c6 that Wesley played, we have queen to e2, and actually Wesley is now running into a checkmate sequence with move h5, king to h5, and now queen to h3. It was game over. It was an epic checkmate here by Hans, Moke, and Niemann. And ooh, what happened in the end is really crazy. Hans Moke Niemann won his match against Wesley So with 13 points against Wesley's 10 points, and he's now waiting Magnus Carlsen to win his game against Arjunet Gaisi. It would be epic to see Magnus against Hans. I think, as I mentioned in the beginning, the world would be shaking. This would be an immortal match. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I still have my suspicions here. What's going to happen? Probably new drama will happen, but I really hope that we see a really an epic match between Magnus Carlsen and Hans Niemann. So okay, congratulations to Hans. He deserved his win today. Played really awesome chess. Great in any section. 5+1 he was good. 3+1 he was good. Also in the bullet section he took then actually a huge lead. Wesley tried to battle, but I think Wesley played too positional chess today. Didn't really find his really best chess, his aggressive chess. I always loved Wesley's games because he always spiced up the game somehow. Now he missed, I think, to be aggressive today, and Hans is now the deserved winner and reaches now the semi-final of the Speed Chess Championship in 2024. So okay, we'll see what will happen in the next month, because the semi-finals is in the 9th month here this year, so we'll see what will happen. I hope Magnus reaches now the semi-final and we could watch this epic match. Okay, if you want to see some other games that we have followed here from this amazing chess tournament, check out our coverage. Here are some games that we have analyzed before, and if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.